Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Shri Nam Sankirtan Ji Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada Jai Jai Gaur ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for the Sunday afternoon Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. So we are starting with the chapter number 5 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is entitled where Narada gives instructions to Srila Vyasadeva on Srimad Bhagavatam. Before that, can we do a quick recap of chapter number 4 that we did last Sunday? It was a very simple chapter. Can someone help me recollect that? Appearance of Narada. Okay, so Vyasadeva was dissatisfied. But before that, we see that so basically Shaunak Rishi, on behalf of the sages, asked a few more questions. Okay, if you see the first 6 questions are answered in chapter number 2 and chapter number 3. Then there is further inquiry which is made by Shaunak Rishi. Okay, he makes further inquiries like what is the birth and the history of King Parikshit, how Sukdev Goswami meets the king, how Sukdev Goswami is accepted as a speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, then what is the reason for Vyasdev's dissatisfaction, then how Vyasdev divides the Vedas, for this. Yes, why Parikshit Maharaj renounced everything, though he was like the most successful ruler. Why? What was the need for him to renounce everything and come to the bank of Ganges? So these are some certain extra questions which are asked, additional questions which are asked by Shaunak Rishi to uh, Sutta Goswami. And meanwhile, we also see, as he mentioned, that in the beginning, we see that both, please keep your phones on silent. If you're keeping it here, then please make sure it's even more silent. So we see that how the speaker as well as the audience, the listener, they both are a bona fide, and hence the topic of Shrimad Bhagavatam is spoken. So that is what Siddharth Prabhu was mentioning. Anything else that you'll remember? Hmm. Yeah, that was in the purport that many times we go out and listen to many different speakers, और हम ऐसे भी आर्ग्यू करते हैं कि प्रभु जी क्या ही प्रॉब्लम है, मतलब वो भी तो कृष्ण के बारे में ही कह रहा है, गीता से ही कुछ बोल रहा है, भागवत से ही कुछ बोल रहा है, यू नो उन्होंने भी परीक्षित महाराज का और नरसिम्हा देव का ही स्टोरी बताया, तो तकलीफ क्या है? So it is in that context that when you have to hear somebody who's speaking in a sampradaya or coming down in a bona fide disciplic succession, only then that leads to uh, transformation of heart. Otherwise, I was where I was reading. It comes actually in this fifth chapter that it becomes a place where crows visit. You know, place where crows visit. Crows generally pilgrimage of crows. So place generally crows go to which kind of places? They go to very dirty places. Where garbage is kept, trash is kept. They go there. And swans they go to scenic places. Like Baba mentions that in everywhere in a shastra there is mention of swan, Hans, and Radharani also walks like Hans Gamini mentions. But he has never seen a Hans in the whole of India. But the comparison is mentioned that how the swans and the crows they don't stay together in one place because their likings are absolutely different. Similarly, discussion which is made on topics which are not surrounding the Lord, they are like place of pilgrimage for the crows, where crows go and sit. So yeah, that is the thing. That will come up in this chapter. I was reading it. Yeah. What else? Anything else you remember? Yeah, Ravindra. परीक्षित महाराज छोड़ दिया सुखदेव गोस्वामी ने छोड़ दिया So Sukhdev Goswami was born when he was 16 years old, you know, directly on the womb of the mother. After 16 years, he came out. He was very scared because he didn't wanted that Maya to afflict him. And as soon as he was born, he started walking directly to the forest. How is he walking? He was nicely dressed. Then he was naked. See this example is given that he walks naked is to show us that generally the Prabhupada was mentioning this that generally uh, people when they read Bhagavatam or even the speakers when they recite Bhagavatam they want to jump to the topic of the 10th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, wherein there is the discussion of Krishna spending time with the gopis or the cowherd girls, and they conceptualize that as they conceptualize as a boy and a girl meeting. That's kind of conception. But over here, this example is given, wherein it is shown that the speaker of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, who is absolutely not on bodily platform, he is completely naked from a material perspective, but that doesn't really make a difference to him because he's not on bodily platform. This is proven how when the young girls who are bathing while Sukhdev Goswami is passing, they don't feel the need to cover themselves or they don't feel shy. But when Vyasadev is passing by, they cover themselves up. And that's how they inquire from Vyasadev. That, my dear, that's how Vyasadev inquires from the coward girls that how come, I'm being, my child is completely in his youth and you have not covered up yourself. But when I'm going through, I'm in my old age. I'm like your father, but still you are covering up your body. So they say that because your son Sukhdev Goswami doesn't see a discrimination between a male and a female. For him, everybody is a spirit soul. Everybody is a part and parcel of the Lord. He doesn't discriminate between two kinds of bodies. Hence, they don't feel the need to cover. So this goes to show that this is what a spiritually elevated soul is. They don't jump to a 10th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, right? They don't do that. They don't want to hear that. Or that is not the understanding or the conception they carry in the mind is on bodily platform. They don't carry that conception. They carry a conception which is purely on the platform of the soul and the super soul. Or spiritual, not material, nothing to do with matter. So that is why this example is given. The story is mentioned in the beginning of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Very beautiful. What else? Yeah. Yeah, very nice. So Sukhdev Goswami would not spend more than 30 minutes at anybody's house as long as it takes to milk a cow. But sages are asking, then how come he spent 7 days and 7 nights at one place? What compelled him to stay there? And he was considered by, when he used to pass by like that, people used to consider him like a madman. People used to throw stones, abuse, because they used to consider him as a madman. Yeah, and then I gave an example of Jad Bharat, how he was taken as Jada. Jada means one who is completely dumb, lame, as good, good for nothing. So uh, it is essential that we, uh, as he's mentioning, that until and unless somebody speaks, you don't know how knowledgeable he is. So yeah, right. You all covered many of the points from the chapter number 4. That's very nice. So we come to chapter 5. That is now. In the end, one point was not covered was Vyasdev understood that he is dissatisfied, and he was praying that I get assistance from my guru, spiritual master, and that's how Narad Muni appears. That's how Narad Muni appears. What happened? So that's how Narad Muni appears. So that's the last section where Narad Muni's appearance is there. Okay. Now this chapter is where Narada instructs on Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasdev. He instructs on Srimad Bhagavatam to Vyasdev. Uh, that's the synopsis of this chapter. Okay. Uh, Vyasdev expresses his despondency, his dissatisfaction, how he is not, feeling satisfied, happy after compiling all the Puranas, Vedas, even Mahabharata. Okay, and then so Narad Muni gives his diagnosis. Okay, so this is Yasdev. See, he is despondent. So the first his despondency comes in the verses 5 and 7 of this chapter. Then comes the Narad Muni's diagnosis, which comes on later on from 8 to 22 verse. There are 40 verses in this chapter. From 8 to 22, Narad Muni gives his diagnosis as to what is the reason why is he feeling, you know, dejected, dissatisfied, and then Narad Muni gives that how he, uh, because of his previous life, became a Narada in this life. You know, what made him Narada, or what made him the Brahmaputra? He was the son of Brahma. You know, how is Narada born? Anybody knows how is Narada born? How is Brahma born? Lakshmi and Vishnu mated together. That's how it happened. How is Brahma born? He comes from the lotus stem, which comes. He comes on the lotus, which the stem which comes from the Nadi Kamal of Vishnu. But how is Brahma or Narada born? Sorry, how did he get the body of Narada? Yes, he's the Manas Putra. He comes from the mind of Brahma. So that's how Narada is also born. Basically, previous life he mentions, and then his life he says that comes as Narada. And then finally he gives advice to Vyasdev as to what he should be doing. Okay, so these are the four major sections of this chapter. The first one being the inquiries. Narada inquires from Vyasdev, from Vyasa, why are you disappointed? What happened? Vyasdev replies as a conversation. It's a very straightforward conversation with small purports. Then there is a detailed diagnosis which is given by Narada. This is having uh, big purpose with philosophy. We try to cover as much as possible. Narad Muni's previous life, many of you all know about it, but we'll just go through that again. And then his final advice to Srila Vyasdev. Okay. So Vyasadeva replies to Narada Muni's inquiries about his responses. As I mentioned, the first 7 verses they cover about how Narada is also inquiring. So I'll For those of you who don't have the Bhagavatam, I'll just show up. So over here, Sutta Goswami is responding to the sages. He's saying, Atha tvam sukham ashina upashina mricha Shravaha devarshi praha shim shim vina pani saman iva. He's saying, Sutta Goswami, the sage, thus the sage amongst the god, that is Narada, comfortably seated, apparently smiling, addressed the rishi amongst the Brahmanas, that is Srila Vyasdev. So, if you see, there's a word over here which mentions Mayan Eva. It mentions Mayan Eva as apparently, Samayam Eva mentions as apparently smiling. So, many times I have this personal experience that when you go in front of a spiritual master, you may try to say something, but your spiritual master will be apparently smiling, knowing everything that you think that they don't know. Okay, so over here, it is a sign. Like if you see the purport, it mentions Narada was smiling because he well knew the great sage Vyasdev, Vyas, and the cause of his disappointment. As he will explain gradually, Vyasdev's disappointment was due to insufficiency in presenting the science of devotional service. Narada knew the defect and was confirmed by the position of Vyasa. So, as a spiritual master, before he even spoke, he knew. So, we should know that we should never underestimate our guru or at least our authority, especially the spiritual master. Sometimes, uh, you know, we may think that very little, they may not know everything, they may know very little. So we should have full faith in Guru. Uh, like there's one boy, he was a small boy. When a dog came in front of him, he ran away. He was scared of the dog. But as soon as he ran away and held on to his father, he got more courage to face the dog. So much so that with his leg he even would shoo him away. So when we take shelter of our spiritual master, we should have full faith. Why did the boy have that? Where did he gain that strength from or that confidence from? Because he had full faith that my father will protect me. Similarly, we should never underestimate a bona fide spiritual master who will certainly protect us. Certainly protect us. Many times we see on Vyas Puja of Shil Prabhupada that many of Prabhupada disciples explain or share instances how Prabhupada protected them from difficult situations. So they have full faith in what Prabhupada has given. And then Narada starts to speak. He says, uh, addressing Vyasa, the son of Parasha. Addressing Vyasdev, the son of Parasa, Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as the objects of self-realization? He's questioning. First of all, he's giving him reference that you are the son of who? Parasa. So you have a very renowned lineage. But in that lineage, nobody presents the philosophy in a dilute way. But you have presented the Vedas, the Puranas in a very diluted fashion. That is why he's asking that, do you think self-realization can be achieved by identifying with the body or the mind? You know, because that is what you have stressed upon. Like Kaitava Dharma, Kaitava Dharma. Where was it? In the second verse of first chapter 8. So 1:1:2 was Kaitava Dharma. What was Kaitava Dharma? How can you define Kaitava Dharma? Hmm? Cheating religion. What does a cheating religion mean? Yes, that which engages you into temporary, like sometimes we take seminars, art of stress management, art of anger management. Secret of Success concludes with Krishna being God. That is not Kaitava Dharma. You're saying Secret of Success is Kaitava Dharma. You're saying, okay, we take some seminars, which is one of which is like Secret of Success. सो दी मैनी टाइम्स होता है ना, हम जाते हैं कॉलेजेस में या कॉर्पोरेट्स में और लोग कहते हैं सर आप भगवान के बारे में, रिलीजन के बारे में कुछ मत बोलिएगा, यू नो. सो थैंक यू. सो कभी और होता है ना, हम जाते हैं स्कूल और कॉलेजेस में और टीचर्स कहते हैं सर हम हमारे हम स्टूडेंट्स को कोई रिलीजन नहीं पढ़ाना चाहते, तो आप प्लीज़ एंगर मैनेजमेंट में एंगर के बारे में ही बोलिएगा, या यू नो टाइम मैनेजमेंट में टाइम के बारे में ही बोलिएगा. सो यू मे ऑल्सो फील दैट देयर वर 400-500 स्टूडेंट्स सिटिंग, बट मैंने कृष्ण के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा, मैंने हरे कृष्ण के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा, मैंने इस्कॉन के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा, मैंने प्रभुपाद जी के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा, मैंने गीता भागवतम के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा. Right? That despondency is there, that dissatisfaction is there. So Vyasdev was feeling the same. मैंने सारे वेद लिख दिए, मैंने सारे पुराण लिख दिए, मैंने सारे महाभारत लिख दिए, पर मैंने ये नहीं ग्लोरीफाई किया है कि स्वयं भगवान कृष्ण है और उनकी भक्ति सबसे अति उत्तम है. मैंने ये कहीं पे नहीं कहा. मैंने महाभारत भी कह दी, महाभारत में मेरा लक्ष्य था गीता का संदेश देना. I was supposed to give the message of Bhagavad Gita. I said that as well. But again, apart from that, in the Mahabharata, there was just politics, economical development, social development, relationships, and all Mirch Masala was there. That did not, that is why Mahabharata is considered not for the one who is very knowledgeable, but for the one is Sri Shudra, Dvijabandhu. It is meant for them, because it is more attractive for that audience. It's not for an elevated soul. Mahabharata. Have you seen ISKCON doing a Mahabharata Katha? Narsimha Katha, Rama Katha, Gaur Katha, Krishna Katha. So many kathas happen, but you never see a Mahabharata Katha happening. So that is the way even Vyastu, this is Kaitava Dharma. Like some people may think that social service karna, desh dharma karna, karma kand karna, these are all Kaitava Dharmas. Actually, there are three categories of people: Karma Kandi, Gnana, Karma Kanda, Gnana, Gnanis, and Upasana. Karma Kandi wants to do actions here and go and enjoy up. Gnana is they want to enjoy here. And the one who want to merge with the Brahma Jyoti, they want to have siddhis. They want to come and impress the people, you know. So these are all different kinds of Kaitava Dharma, because they are misleading the people. They're misleading the people. So uh, none of these karmakandis, gnanis, or even the upasana kand, they they inquire what is the interest of the Lord. They are all centered to what is interesting to me, themselves. There is nothing to do with. Whereas the Vaishnava philosophy teaches us that what will please Krishna. What can I do that will please the Supreme Lord? What can I? Because everything, because as a Vaishnava, we know that everything belongs to Krishna. We know that very well, and hence that is the philosophy. We try to please the Supreme Lord. If I have to do it for myself, then it is. If I have to do it for myself, then it is kama, and if I have to do it for the pleasing of the Lord, then it is prema. It is love, because I'm trying to please the Lord. Like once, uh, Akbar had gone with Tansen to a devotee. You know the story? Akbar was in a disguise because Akbar wanted to uh, hear the devotee. So he came in a disguise as dressed as a normal man, and then uh, he sat amongst the audience, and the devotee decided to do kirtan, and he was singing such a beautiful kirtan that Akbar had tears in his eyes. So while on the way back, Akbar asked Tansen that, my dear Tansen, I have made you the chief of my kingdom. म्यूजिकल डिपार्टमेंट का मैंने आपको चीफ बनाया है because you are a very big musician. But whenever you sing, I don't get such tears in my eyes. Tansen said, Sir, I sing for your pleasure, and he sings for Hari's pleasure, Lord's pleasure, Krishna's pleasure. Hence, there are tears in your eyes. Similarly, Shrimad Bhagavatam is a way to take you from the material world to the spiritual world. But the other Shastras, Puranas, Vedas, they teach you how you can live better in this present world. That's the difference. That's the difference. Like once there's a story in the Bhagavatam that once a man was carrying a log of woods on his shoulder and he met a king. Okay, and the king asked him, "What do you want?" So he said, uh, "Can you move this log of wood from this shoulder to this shoulder?" Now, what do you feel? Is that intelligence? It was foolishness because he could have asked the king anything. You give me a house, you give me some business, you make me a minister in your kingdom. So many things he could have asked, but what he asked was that just move my, just move my, huh? So similarly, uh, similarly, when we refer to these Vedas or Puranas, they help you to deal with problems which are temporary in nature. They don't give a permanent solution to things. Whereas Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we arouse devotion for the Lord in our heart, and automatically that helps us to get out of the cycle of birth, old age, death, and disease, which are giving us problems. Even in, like I was reading, uh, there is from the Brahma Loka to the Patal Loka. It is mentioned in this chapter only in the purports that there is birth, old age, death, and disease in all these places. Even in Brahma Loka, which is the topmost planet, and even in Patal, there is no exemption. But the Shastras, barring Srimad Bhagavatam, they help us to be within this material world. You know, they don't help us to get out of this cycle of birth and death. So, in that context, Narad Muni is telling Vyasdev that you are the son of Parasha Muni. You have a powerful ancestral history. बहुत अच्छा है आपका. You're well versed. You are jignasitam susampanam. मतलब you have your knowledge is complete. You've compiled all the Vedas. It's complete knowledge. You're well versed with all the scriptures. And it's like you're a liberated person. You are Brahma realized. You're not like one of the ordinary people. Then how come you are despondent? How come you are feeling dejected? He's addressing even him as Prabhu. Like Prabhupada mentions this. I was hearing him. So here he says, yeah, akritartha eva Prabhu. He says, jignasitam aditam cha. Jignasitam susampanam. This is this next one. Jignasitam aditam cha brahma yattat sanatanam tathapi shoshachi atmanam akritartha aiva prabho. He's saying you have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? You know, now Narad Muni is his spiritual master. Vyasdev is a disciple, but still he's addressing him as Prabhu. Prabhupada mentions that it's a way of offering respect. Like he says in that specific lecture that Kirtanan Maharaj that time was a sannyasi, and whenever somebody would meet Kirtan Maharaj, or even I have to call Kirtanan Maharaj, I would say, Kirtan Maharaj, please come. You know, because he's my disciple, I wouldn't just call him like that. But respect has always been honored, whether it's your senior or whether it's a junior. Sometimes we say, no, Prabhu, that's addressing. So similarly, he's addressing. The Vedanta Sutra or the Brahma Sutra, compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, is full deliberation of impersonal absolute feature, and it is accepted as the most exalted philosophical exposition in the world. It covers the subject of eternity and the methods are scholarly. So there cannot be any doubt about the transcendental scholarship of Vyasadeva. Madhmuni is saying there's no doubt that you are supremely scholar. So why should you he lament? So why should he lament? Now Vyasadeva replies. He's replying now. Vyasa replies. So as I mentioned, that sometimes we give these different kinds of seminars to attract audience, and we also have this question, Prabhu, ये सब नहीं करेंगे तो लोग नहीं आएंगे, you know. But the advice is that we should do these seminars to attract people, but then immediately we should move on to philosophy as well. Like for example, when we do SOS, we give it in a very package way. Of course, we hint on certain things, but as soon as a person comes after SOS, like today evening we have a new batch or some students from the new batch, so we'll be starting with the Bhagavad Gita, coming to the point, rather than going on and on with it, because there are people in general, they look for instant results. If I do a seminar on managing the raging mind versus life after death, 500 people will come in the first seminar, and second maybe 50 people will come in the second seminar, because people want instant results. Asura, asu means asu means instant, and ra means raman. So one who is wanting instant results, that is asuric mentality, तुरंत चाहिए. इसलिए तो फास्ट फूड पॉपुलर है अभी, बिकॉज इन कलयुग पीपल वांट थिंग्स इमीडिएटली. इंस्टेंट फूड के पैकेट सबसे ज़्यादा बिकते हैं. क्यों? आप डालो 3 मिनट में, पानी डालो, खाना बन जाता है. होटल में जाओगे, सर कितने मिले, हाउ इन हाउ मच टाइम विल यू गिव मी माई डिश, सर 5 मिनट्स. 5 मिनट्स, 5 मिनट्स में कैसे बन सकता है? So it is because they use instant things. There's some things which are prepared, plus they use some instant things, some things which are cold stored. They mix it together, heat it. It takes 5 minutes to heat, not to make. So hence, this is Asuric mentality where we have want instant results. So now Vyasadeva is replying to Narad Muni. He's saying, see, I compiled so many things, but I myself am rejected. I'm not happy. How do you expect the people who are reading to be happy? Because I myself, Krishna consciousness is a joyous activity, but I myself am morose. How am I supposed to be happy with it? So Vyasadeva now replies. He is now first praising, while replying also he's first praising Narada. He's first praising Narada. So if he gives the qualification of Narada, he says over here, he's saying Atma Bhavatam Bhutam, you are Brahma's son, okay, powerful lineage. Agada Bodham, unlimited knowledge. Your knowledge is also unlimited. So he's first praising his spiritual master. Whenever we meet our spiritual master, we should try to first glorify him. And then we should further have a discussion with them. But that's how Vyasadeva is also responding. See, who is Vyasadeva? Vyasadeva is Supreme Lord himself, literally incarnation of Krishna, is Swayam Bhagwan. See, when Vyasadeva came, he accepted a spiritual master. When Krishna came, he accepted a spiritual master. When Rama came, he also accepted a spiritual master. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, he also accepts a spiritual master. This is to teach us that we should not go by our own selves. हम ही है और बस हम ही है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. ठीक है? That will not help us. That will not help us go long. That will put us into speculation. So over here, Vyasadeva, he says, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction, for you are a man of unlimited knowledge due to your being the offspring of Brahma, who is self-born without mundane father and mother. Brahma is not born of anyone. He comes from the Nadi Kamala. So in the material world, the purport mentions that in the material world, everyone is engrossed with the idea of identifying the body or the mind with the self. As such, all knowledge disseminated in the material world is related either with the body or with the mind, and that is the root cause of all despondence. This is not always detected, even though one may be greatest erudite scholar in the materialistic knowledge. It is good, therefore, to approach a personality like Narada to solve the root cause of all despondencies. Why Narada should be approached is explained below. That's the next verse. My lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you are because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. A person who is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord is the emblem of knowledge. So, this is a very powerful statement actually. We many times come across devotees, sannyasis, brahmacharis who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord. Their emblem of knowledge. Such a devotee of the Lord is in full perfection of devotional service, is also perfect by qualification of the personality of Godhead. As such, eightfold perfections of mystic power, Ashtasiddhi, constitute very little of his godly opulence. A devotee like Narada can act wonderfully by his spiritual perfection, which every individual is trying to attain. Sri Narada is 100% perfect living being, although not equal to the personality of Godhead. So over here you see a lesson. There are three lessons that we learn from here. Is if we are trying to get any knowledge which is related to the body and mind, that will always make us dissatisfied. And there are three steps to being successful. One is that we have to admit our dissatisfaction. Vyasdev did admit that he was dissatisfied. He was not like, "Arey, come on now, I have written, मैंने चार एक वेद को चार में डिवाइड किया, 18 पुराना लिखा, महाभारत तक भी लिख दिया, मेरा बेटा सुखदेव गोस्वामी है, we, he was not. He was expressing his dissatisfaction. He admitted that his failure in detecting. He was also admitted that I am not able to detect my failure, cause of it, and he's trying to take shelter of one who is satisfied. Who is that? Narada. He's taking shelter of Narada. So this is the three steps to being successful. We have to admit that we are dissatisfied. Many times we ask people, "Are you? How many of you say that you are very happy?" सब लोग हाथ उठाएंगे. कोई भी नहीं बोलेगा कि genuinely people are suffering. Admit his failure in detecting the cause, take shelter of one who is satisfied. We should do this. This is again taking us back to how Arjuna surrendered to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. He accepted Krishna. He accepted that I'm not able to come to a conclusion. I'm confused and I'm shivering. My dear Arjuna, please guide me. And he explains, he gives an analogy. He says, like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds. And like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. So he's mentioning over here in 1.5.6, two more qualities Narada has mentioned, that he has devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who you should approach? You should approach somebody who has devotion to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's in connection, right? Here you see, this is for us. The next is who we should approach. Somebody who has devotion to Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are incarnation of the Lord, the controller of cause and effect. He's giving as good as. That's why the last statement in the purport was that he is a perfect person, 100% perfect person in quality, but not in quantity. So as good as the Lord. That's why spiritual master is kept on the same platform as the Supreme Lord. Is given the same respect as the Supreme Lord because he's a 100% perfect person. So Srila Prabhupada was given, Srila Prabhupada would say in many places that Guru is as good as God. Like once, you know that story when once a reporter asked Prabhupada that if you if you are a spiritual leader, then why do you ride in a Rolls Royce? Why do you go in a Rolls Royce? Once disciples of Prabhupada that arrange a Rolls Royce to pick him up from the airport. So Prabhupada said, what is the value of this tin car? What is the value of this tin car? If God comes, will you use a tin car or a gold car? Actually, they should arrange for me a gold car. But what is the value of this tin car? You know, because spiritual master is as should be given as much respect as the Supreme Lord. He gives an example. Prabhupada mentions that when a government representative comes to your house, do you give him as much respect as you would give to a government or not? Because he's representing the government. Similarly, the spiritual master is direct representation of the Supreme Lord, and one has to give equivalent respect to the spiritual master. So that's why it's mentioned over here. You are it's actually the spiritual master is actually an incarnation of the Lord. A genuine bona fide spiritual master is actually an incarnation of the Lord. So then in the next verse he mentions like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere. He gives you wander like the sun externally. Sun rays go everywhere, and the life air is internal. So your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region as well. Air can travel inside as well as outside. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive super soul. Please, therefore, find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. Like, find out what is the deficiency in me. So he's giving over here that you wander like the sun externally in life. So I was reading from the translation, but the same breakup is given over here. I followed all dharma, rules and regulations. One way Vyasa is supposed to be clearly sufficient, but it is turning out to be a deficiency. Narada is witness of everyone's intelligence. So he is the witness, he's witnessing. So from this we learn that one, we should not be duplicitous in front of our spiritual master. We should not try to cheat our guru. Sometimes we may think our guru is very very innocent and we can manipulate our guru. You may think like that, ना? No, गुरु महाराज कितना innocently पूछते हैं हमें. मैं कुछ ऐसा करूंगा तो पता नहीं चलेगा. उनको कैसे पता मैंने क्या करके आया हूँ? You know? That will not be very helpful. Like once there was a disciple who asked his guru that, my dear Guru Maharaj, you regularly travel to America and you're going to the Western country. So who does cooking for you? Who does cooking for you? So the Guru said, yeah, it is a little difficulty. Sometimes I stay in the temple, sometimes I'm outside, so some congregational devotees, they cook food for me. Sometimes I manage by myself. So the disciple said, if you don't mind, I can travel with you to America, and I can be your cook everywhere. The Guru knew him well, so he said that no, uh, it's not good for you because you are a weak-hearted person. You may fall down, and so it's better that you don't come. So the disciple thought, oh, I cannot go. After 6 months, he asked again the Guru, my dear Guru, while you're in India, you have assistants and servants to take care of your meals and you check your meals. But when you go to America, when you go abroad, who checks your mails? Who responds to your emails? If you yeah, then the Guru says, yeah, sometimes I'm not able to check and respond in time. I do it myself, unlike you're in India. Like if you allow me, I can travel with you to America and I can check your emails, I can give you updates. So the Guru recollected, 6 months ago somebody had asked me the same thing, that he wanted to come with me. Was it you? And then the disciple hid his face. Now my chance to go to America is completely gone. You know. Then finally, due to his this foolishness and this nature, he fell down. He decided to get married, and he told his guru that, my dear Guru, I'm getting decided to get into Grihastha ashram, and I've told uh, one of my seniors to search for an American girl for me. So the Guru said, Americans are like white elephants. Why you want to get married to an American. You are a simple village background person. You get married to an Indian girl and stay peacefully. So then he went around telling everybody that my guru told me such kind of a thing. So this is this is a kind of a disciple who is a guru bhogi. He wants to get things done from the guru which is pleasing to him, impure disciple, foolishness, you know. So one should know that Guru is a representative of Krishna, and he is not to please our desires. You know, if Guru has some international contacts or travels abroad more often, and we try to use, चलो उसके बाद आज तक मैं अमेरिका कभी अपने बलबूते पे जा नहीं पाया, मैं गुरु के बलबूते पे अमेरिका पहुंच जाता हूँ सर्वेंट बन के या कुक बन के या टाइपराइटर बन के. So this is a guru bhogi. Like many times you may see that there is a vaccination drive in the village, and the vaccination when the car comes, the children, many of them they run away because they see the small another child getting a injection. They also get scared. They run away and they hide, and the parents call out for them. Where were you? Where were you? They may say, "Oh wow, we missed the vaccination drive." But is that good? Because the disease may, when the disease may strike, it may similarly it may when the disease may strike it, they may get succumb to that disease. Similarly, over here Vyasdev doesn't mind being chastised by his guru, by his spiritual master, because he knows that even though he's a big scholar, he's submitting himself to the guru. He's ready to be corrected. Had he escaped that situation, that wouldn't have helped him at all. So, Krishna consciousness, as he mentioned, is supposed to be performed joyously and not morose. So, this is his reply to Narada. Narada inquires, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization? You wrote the Mahabharata and dealing with subjects of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived from therefrom. Yet, why Vyasdev is respondent? So he admits his dissatisfaction, glorifies Narada, and asks about the root cause of his dissatisfaction. Okay. And now Narada responds. Narada responds. Narada Vacha Bhavatanudita Prayam Yasho Bhagavato Amalam Yenaiva Sauna Tushyeta Manyeta Darashanam Kilam Manyeta Darashanam Kilam. So he says every Purana is malam. There is some impurity because in the Puranas and the Shastras, but Bhagavad Purana is amalam. It is completely spotless, doesn't have any kind of impurity. Because why does he say this? This is in relation to the story that I mentioned, that how Akbar visited with Tansen, and he heard a pure devotee do kirtan, and that was to please the Lord. And similarly, Bhagavad Puran helps us to move, versus any other Puran, helps us to move from the material world to the spiritual world. Whereas other Puranas, they help us to how to be nicely situated in this material world. That is why they are Malam. And uh, like the story that I mentioned about the person moving the log of woods from this shoulder to that shoulder. Similarly, other Shastras, they focus on making things better for a temporary point of view, for a temporary point time, not permanently. Like if a doctor tells a man who is diagnosed with a preliminary cancer that, see, you are in the initial stage. If you take this medicine which costs 1,000 rupees a week for 6 months, you will be fine. That would be how many? 6 into 4 is 24 weeks. So he makes a calculation, 1,000 into 24, that is 24,000. But instead of that, if so he inquires, isn't there any cheaper option? He's like, yeah, there is another option. I can give you a painkiller. which will cost you 1 rupee a day. Okay, so 7 days ke liye 7 rupees versus 1,000 rupees for a day. But if he foolishly takes up the second option of taking a painkiller, what will happen? For temporarily, he will feel better, but the cancer will not be cured. That will keep increasing from a preliminary stage to the first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. Finally, he will. Similarly, when you meet a bona fide guru, he gives you this 1,000 rupees medicine because he tells you to chant 16 rounds and follow 4 minutes, which in the beginning will be like, my God, so difficult. It's so difficult. He will uproot the ignorance that is there. Uproot the ignorance. That's why it is mentioned Divya Gyan Hriday Proka Shito. Prema Bhakti Javate Avidya Vinasha Chate. So he will uproot. It's like the 1,000 rupee medicine. Otherwise, we meet sometimes who is not genuine. They'll just tell you, you pay some dakshina, I'll do some puja, and should be fine. Fine for 1 or 2 days. And then again, after a few months, again you come, you pay some dakshina, wear a ring, wear do this, do that, put some photo here, put some things over here, and you should be fine. So similarly, these Puranas are like the painkillers. They give you temporary relief. They won't give you permanent solution. They don't give you permanent solution. So that's why when we read the Puranas, we always have this desire: what God can do for me, what this God will do for me, what this that God will do for me. But when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we realize this devotion arises, and we realize what I can do for Supreme Lord, because there's so many great devotees in the Bhagavad Puran who have done such great things for the Lord. How can I do something for Krishna? So Puranas is absorption on other Puranas absorption is on purely on I, me, and mine. That I, me, mine bubble. Whereas Bhagavad Purana is absorption on Krishna. How I can serve Krishna, how I can please the Supreme Lord. So when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, we are actually completely absorbed in thinking about the Supreme Lord. There is no other way out of it. So Nada kind of does a diagnosis over here. Starting this verse, he starts doing a diagnosis. He says that there is insufficient broadcasting of Lord's glories. More emphasis on the Purusharthas. There is no emphasis. And then he mentions there are two categories of literature: materialistic literature. Saintly people consider them as pilgrimage for a place of crows. This is what I was speaking in the beginning. Okay. So in the translation, it is mentioned, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Worthless. In the next section, he mentions reasons why Lord's glories are spotless. Superiority of Krishna's form over other forms, superiority of Krishna's leelas over other leelas, superiority of Krishna's bhakti over other methods. The original author of Vedanta is dissatisfied. How can you become satisfied? So he gives a summary of the causes of dissatisfaction in the ninth verse. He says misunderstanding priorities. Glorification of the Lord should have been given as the goal of one's life instead of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. That is what he is stressing upon in Mahabharata and other shastras. Okay. Mistaking positions, Purusharthas or Krishna's supremacy. Misguiding people, not repeatedly sufficiently the superiority of bhakti over liberation, thinking that people will understand it by themselves. The meaning of scripture is revealed by constant repetition. The glories of the Lord, the glories of the Lord's glories gives two things. Okay, it gives realization of Shastra and gives satisfaction. So this is the root cause. He mentions over here, the root cause of despondency of Vyasadeva was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas. He deliberately avoided glorifying the Lord directly. That's a pretty big thing. So yeah, so he mentions over here the prompt diagnosis of Sri Narada is at once declared. The root cause of the despondency of Vyasadeva was his deliberate avoidance of glorifying the Lord in his various editions of the Puranas. Further, he mentions that from he mentions over here yeah, from this it is clearly indicated that no one can be pleased substantially without being engaged in devotional service of the Lord. No one can be pleased. Let's come to the next verse. It's very important. नायद्वचश्चित्रपदं हरेर्यो यशो नायद्वचश्चित्रपदं हरेर्यशो जगत्पवित्रं प्रज्ञिता कर्हे चेत् तद्वासं तीर्थं कुशान्ति मानस नायत्र हमसा निर्माति उष्कीषया उशिक्षया उशिक्षया. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. You can read from here. Of course, the first paragraph mentions about the crows and the swans that I spoke, that how crows prefer a place of garbage, trash, and swans prefer a place of scenic beauty. So similarly, there are different kinds of literatures for different types of men of different mentality. Mostly, the market literatures which attract men of crows category are literatures containing refused remnants of sensuous topics. They are generally known as mundane talks in relation with the gross body and subtle mind. They are full of subject matter described in decorative language, full of mundane smiles, similes, sorry, and metaphorical arrangements. Yet, with all that, they do not glorify the such poetry and prose on any subject matter is considered decoration of such a heavy words. I'll again read. Mostly the market literatures which attract men of crows category are literatures containing refused remnants of sensuous topics. Sensory topics are mentioned, sense gratification topics are mentioned. They are generally known as mundane talks in relation to the gross body and subtle mind. They are full of subject matter described in decorative language. बहुत अच्छा flowery words use किया जाता है उसमें. Full of mundane similes and metaphorical arrangements. Yet, with all that, they do not glorify the such poetry and prose on any subject matter is considered decoration of dead body. It's a heavy dose. Well, I may not go into very detail, but yeah, again we'll see the last one. Social literally men, scientists, mundane poets, theoretical philosophers, and politicians who are completely absorbed in material advancement of sense pleasure are all dolls of material energy. I'm not sure how much of you all are really able to relate to what Prabhupada is speaking over here. They take pleasure in a place where rejected subject matters are thrown. According to Shridhar Swami, this is the pleasure of prostitute hunters. But literatures which describe the glories of the Lord are enjoyed by Paramhamsas who have grasped the essence of human activities. That's why people sometimes feel when they meet devotees, they feel इन लोगों के पास कुछ करने के लिए था नहीं, इसलिए हम लोग सब कर रहे हैं. बाहर दुनिया में कितना कुछ है enjoy करने के लिए. How can you say, no, life is not so good? Life is such so beautiful because they are dolls of material energy. It's amazing. Prabhupada relating this is amazing. They take pleasure in a place where rejected subject matters are thrown. Rejected subject matters are thrown. So very powerful words by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Yeah. So here it's mentioned a summary that how the Bhagavad Purana is a glorification of the Supreme Lord, whereas the other Puranas are devoid of Lord's glories. You know, uh, he reveals then how it's important for describing Krishna's pastimes. If you go back, these purports are very very uh, beautiful. If you get time, you should read it in detail because I will not be able to go everything in absolute detail, but they are really amazing. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. The most famous statement we hear many times. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. It is a qualification of great thinkers to pick up the best from the worst. It is said that an intelligent man should pick up nectar from a stalk of poison, should accept gold even from a filthy place, should accept good and qualified wife even from an obscure family, and should accept a good lesson even from a man or from a teacher who comes from the untouchables. But a saint, if you just come to the next line, but a saint is far above the level of an ordinary man. He is always absorbed in glorifying the Supreme Lord because by broadcasting the holy name and fame of the Supreme Lord, the polluted atmosphere of the world will change. And as a result of propagating transcendental literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, people will become sane in their transactions. So this is an importance. Prabhupada is stressing on spreading the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, distributing literatures like Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which many times we think, कि, प्रभुपाद जी कह रहे हैं बहुत सारी जगह पे, but now over here he is also uh, very convincingly mentioning it in the Shastra that how spreading the Srimad Bhagavatam can purify the atmosphere of this age of Kali, where people are like, you know, dolls, you know, uh, they are like dolls of material energy, dolls of material energy. And in the end, he again says that mentions over here. Then he mentions this paragraph mentions because Prabhupada is writing this Bhagavatam first canto in 1960s, where there was a war between India and China. Okay, so Prabhupada mentioning over here that how as while we are mentioning this, our neighboring country China has attacked upon India, and he's mentioning how previously these two countries lived in complete cooperation and harmony because they both were God conscious. Both were God conscious. Now they are fighting for a piece of land where nobody is also going to live. How many are going to go and live in कहाँ पे हुआ था अभी? नहीं नहीं बांग्लादेश नहीं है. चाइना में बांग्लादेश कहाँ से बीच में आ गया? Where is वो फाइट हुआ था ना? नहीं नहीं हाँ, there was close to the Gangtok. Doklam, Doklam. It is not humanly habitable place. They are fighting for a piece of land which is they're not going to go and live there. You know? So Prabhupada is mentioning that this is the age of Kali. Here he is mentioning. He mentioned about China, India, and then he over here mentions the age of Kali. Yeah, but due to the age of quarrel Kali, which we have discussed, there is always a chance of quarrel on a slight provocation. थोड़ा सा छेड़ दिया तुरंत, there's a burst. This is due. This is due not to the issue in the question, but to the polluted atmosphere of this age. Similarly, there is a propaganda by a section of people to stop glorification of the name and the fame of Supreme Lord. Therefore, there is a great need for disseminating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. It is the duty of every responsible Indian to broadcast transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the world, to do to do all the supermost good, as well as to bring about the desired peace in the world. Anybody holding not a passport of India? कोई election card कितने लोगों के पास है? How many of you have election card? You all are all Indian citizens. हाथ नहीं उठा रहे हो आप? डाउट है आपके पास? क्योंकि यहाँ पे बोल दिया ना कि it is a duty of every responsible Indian to broadcast the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the world. It's our duty. We should take this up seriously. And how can you distribute this message of Srimad Bhagavatam? Only one is when we read by ourselves, so that we can see. If you don't know what is the essence, like many of you all went to Rishikesh. How many of you came to Rishikesh? You know? और पे आपने पहले दिन भी आके आप लोग को एक ये करवाया था, क्या कहते हैं, बोट राइड करवाया था. मैं बोट राइड बोलूँगा, कैमरा पे है इसलिए. बोट राइड करवाया था हमने. ठीक है, अब सब लोग को बोट राइड अभी भी याद है. So you all may give a nice feedback review about a place called Rishikesh to somebody who's very new, who doesn't know about Rishikesh. Similarly, if we don't read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will never realize what is the importance and the sweetness of the Shastra. And how will we give it to others if we don't know it? Like whenever we get sick, we have certain ways where we take some medications and we cure ourselves. When another person also falls for the same sickness, we give him the advice, see, do this, it'll help you. It'll help you. This will help you because you know it. There's a realization. There is a personal experience. Similarly, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, then only we can nicely propagate the message to one and all. So please take this up seriously. That where we have to actually, this is a direct statement in the Shastra. Prabhupada is writing this directly in the purport. That is a responsible. Every responsible Indian should take this up, spreading the message of Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the world. हम अंधेरी बोरीवली बांद्रा में कर ले तो भी काफी है. We may not go out of India. If we do it locally also, it's enough. So coming for enrollments during SOS registration weeks is also propagating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, because you all came from SOS enrollments. Anybody walked in directly for a Srimad Bhagavatam class today? No. You all went through SOS, you all went through Bhagavad Gita, you all went through some yatras. Finally, after filtering few devotees, some of you all Manushyanam, Shashtreshu, you all survived. And you all are here. So, uh, every process that is there, every step that is there, that may look very insignificant to us in the beginning. कि अरे प्रभु जी क्या enrollment करना, अभी हो गया मेरा, मैं 1 साल पहले 2 साल से अभी enrollment ही कर रहा हूँ. But we have to see it as it is a service of the Lord. We have to see as service of the Lord. Even chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a service to the Lord. It's actually spending time with the Supreme Lord. We may think that, oh, I have chanted for 10 years, 15 years I'm chanting now. Can I not just chant for one more year, at least get an exemption? It's actually service to the Lord. Kadambakaran Maharaj, when he was leaving his body, he was in so much of pain that he would not even be able to chant one mantra. It would take him, hours to chant even one round. Looking at that, his spiritual master, His Holiness Jai Advaita Swami Maharaj said, that even if you chant 16 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra is equivalent to chanting 16 rounds for you at this time. You know what Kadambakana Maharaj said? He said, please don't take away my service from Krishna. This is my service to the Lord. Don't take away my service. Don't. But this is, this can be, uh, this can be worse than getting death. Taking away my service. So chanting, we should take up chanting very seriously. We should not be complacent. Okay, okay, today I may not chant. It's fine. Especially, of course, none of you all are initiated now, but especially if you are initiated, uh, we should be very very serious about these things. And even if we take initiation in future, we should be very very serious about this thing. We should not think that this is only a bygone thing. Spiritual master, initiation, four regulative principles. Okay, it's fine. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very very merciful. I'll chant Gauranga and it should be fine. You know, he could deliver Jagai Madai. I'm not as bad as Jagai Madai. मेरा इतना ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड खराब नहीं है. So we should be not very complacent. We should be very serious. In the end, Prabhupada again stresses. He says that, is it the end? Yeah. He says over here, yeah, over here. Similarly, let there be systematic propaganda. Propaganda? Yeah. Okay. Similarly, let there be a systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We have these Chad sessions in the evening, and there is Bhagavatam also still going on. No, Chad is going on. So this is systematic propaganda of popularizing reading of these two books. And it's not like, okay, fine, Vaisheshika Prabhu started, or say, Vijaya Prabhu started, and we are just imitating. It's not like that. There is a reason behind doing these things. It's shastrik. It's bona fide. It's mentioned in the scriptures. Similarly, let there be a systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which will act like a sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sense gratification. When a man, when men have a taste for this literature, the other literatures which are catering poison to the society will then automatically cease. Okay. So over here, this is another stress that Prabhupada is giving on reading and spreading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, book distribution. It's not some concocted idea. It is not. Of course, it's an instruction that Prabhupada has directly given, but there is a reason why he's saying this. Okay, there's a reason why he's saying this. So I'll stop here because okay. Yeah, I'll stop here. Are there any questions? 51. So if you get time, please read. We've gone till the verse number 11. It's just 11 verses that we could read. But I was able to read the 40 verses today in the morning. So if you get time, please read this purpose because they are very, very strong. Prabhupada is giving. There's nothing ambiguous. It's very clear. Like the way Narada is clearly speaking to Vyasdev. Similarly, Prabhupada is very clearly giving uh, instruction as to what is to be done. Actually, at least all of you should read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. At least. There's anybody who should not read others. But first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read 100%, one can be Krishna conscious. Because Prabhupada mentions everything in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's very, very important. Yes, Prabhu. He appeared. Narad Muni appeared. He knows that Vyasadeva is despondent. Many times, spiritual masters they give us. You may not intend to be in front of them or get an instruction from them, or not even spiritual master. Sometimes even your immediate spiritual mentor may tell you something which you are finding an answer for, or that must be something that is bothering you, and that very moment, or maybe in the next few hours or the next 24 hours, you may get an answer or answer something which is related to that. Of course, that's how Paramatma works. Like yesterday evening, it is my personal experience. Yesterday evening, I was contemplating upon something regarding a travel in the month of May, and I was thinking so much that I was also looking at the maps, the location, everything. And today morning, I get a call regarding the same topic. Okay, and again, I clarify my doubt. Okay, should I come or not come? Should I travel or not travel? And I get a confirmation. Ah, you should travel. You should come. So that's how. So then, what do I take it as? How did I get an answer, or how did I get a response to this? So the Lord is always there to guide if we are really looking for a answer. And when I was not able to travel for Kumbh Mela, I was also I was also trying my best to travel, but somehow the arrangements were always such that it never allowed me to move out. You know? So we have to see an intervention, or we have to actually realize that yes, like in the end of this chapter, in one of the purports, it's mentioned that nothing happens without the will of the Lord. Absolutely nothing happens without the will of the Lord. So that is absolutely true. So here Narad Muni appears, knowing the situation, because he's a perfect being. He knows everything. He can appear in front of Kamsa with Ashta Kamal. You know, कौन सा वाला पहला है, पहला वाला आठवां है या बीच वाला आठवां है या कौन सा वाला आठवां है. He comes with an Ashta Kamal in front of Kamsa. Kamsa is relaxed. He's like, आठवां लाल मेरा काल है तो फिर आठवां लाल को ही देखेंगे. But he comes. Now you may say, did Kamsa call Narad Muni? No, he did not call him. Narad Muni appeared. That is why he's transcendental spaceman, na? Because he can go anywhere, and he can, because he wanted to fast forward the appearance of Krishna. I also heard that the first six were demons, so he also wanted Kamsa to kill those demons. I won't go into that topic how they were demons. Just saying. Vyasdev. Huh. Literally incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Because Vedas were earlier only one, and they were compiled for this age of Kali. Because in this age, people have short memory and short lives; they would not remember. So his purpose was to actually pen down the Vedas as well. Okay, so he did that. Then he wrote even the historical incidents like Mahabharata to keep people interested in hearing a topic like Bhagavad Gita. And that's when this juncture is coming. Where so your question is, why did he directly write the Shrimad Bhagavatam first? You know, in a sense, to also uh, set an example that even after being the compiler of the Vedas, or even after being the author to all the Vedic scriptures, he was not satisfied. Similarly, if we also refer to all the Vedas and don't refer to Srimad Bhagavatam, we will also not be satisfied. So, had he written the Srimad Bhagavatam first and then he would have written the Vedas, we, we may would have referred to the Vedas as well. Same glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam would have never happened, where Narad Muni comes and stresses that how it is a Amal Puran. You know. So to set an example or to set an incident that even so many scriptures can be of absolute no importance or worthless if it doesn't glorify the Supreme Lord. Like the way we same logic we may ask, why was Parikshit, being the most ideal king, put a dead snake on the neck of the sage? You know, wasn't he so conscious that he was not supposed to do that? Shastra mentions it is arranged, it is the Lord's will. The Lord had to make him the instrument to the reason why Bhagavatam could have been spoken. You know, similarly, this is also Lord's arrangement where uh, after compilation of all the Vedic scriptures, uh, the author himself or the compiler himself is still dissatisfied. That gives that puts Bhagavatam on the most topmost position, mentioning that after writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, he is absolutely content and satisfied. It's the same thing. How Parikshit Maharaj, being so ideal, how he could have done this? That's that's difficult to digest, right? Okay, one who could kill Kali, almost on the verge of killing Kali to uh, harm the bull and the cow. How could he do this? And how, being he such an empowered king, could not reverse his curse also? But Parishad Maharaj takes it as an indication of the Lord, and he says, this is a sign from the Supreme Lord that I should prepare for my death, and I should inquire about the purpose of life, and that's how he takes it up. So he becomes an instrument for the Bhagavatam to be spoken. Similarly, Vyasdev's dissatisfaction becomes an instrument for glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam or establishing the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Narada gets to establish the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what I feel. Okay, yes, Hari Om Prabhu. ये यथामं प्रपद्यन्ते तं सतैव भजाम्यहं मम अर्थानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य अर्थ सर्वशः. So the way our mood is, the way the Lord will also arrange people to come to us. If your spiritual master is not available personally to guide you, or if there is no Vapu, personal seva or personal engagement that you have with him, there is always a Vani, right? We are directly serving Prabhupada because of the Vani. Right? We are still following Prabhupada Vani, right? Similarly, even our spiritual master, if we don't get an opportunity to do Vapu Seva or person association, we always have their instructions with us. That's one. Another is also the immediate authority, or the authorities that we are, maybe one or more than one, multiple authorities, who we are engaged with, or we are mentored under. We should have complete faith. Sometimes we may disagree with their thought process. Okay, but I've seen, like, I don't want to name, but I've seen how who I am. mm, what do you call it? Yeah, who I look up to, basically, or who I am uh, taking guidance from. Okay, they may express to me or sometimes certain things that they may disagree. Okay, but that doesn't make it a hindrance in their service to the authority. You understood? समझा नहीं समझा? फिर से समझाऊं मैं. So when I have these doubts that there are certain things that I disagree, maybe प्रभु जी ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे करना चाहिए था. You know? Similarly, they may also have certain disagreements with their superior authority. But I've always seen that there is a uh, that doesn't become a hindrance in their service, because we can agree to disagree also and still be together. Husband and wife who are uh, you know living with higher values, they may always, sometimes not always agree. There can be some disagreements, but they agree to disagree also, right? Similarly, there can be certain scenarios between two devotees or a student and a teacher as well. But that doesn't mean that the teacher is absolutely not something that I should be with. Because first of all, like, I got a very nice statement couple of days ago. It is that with surrender there should also be humility. With surrender there should also be, you may surrender fully, but there is no humility, it may not go long. You may have humility, if there is no surrender, it may also not go long. Okay, so uh, your one answer to one question regarding your spiritual master or to be spiritual master, where you don't get an opportunity to do direct service or Vapu Seva, then in that case, Vani is the ultimate. Prabhupada said, I live in my teachings and my follower lives forever with it. So Vani is there, and Vani will also have same effect as much as Vapu has, provided we sincerely follow. Provided we sincerely follow. There is no difficulty to follow. The difficulty is with our ego. Difficulty is not to follow. Difficulty is with our ego. When we feel that this is difficult for me to do, it is my ego which is not permitting me to do it. And in relation to your immediate spiritual authority or authorities, whatever it may be, uh, we have to see that how well uh, they are committed, and there can be disagreements, but there will never be 10 on 10 agreements in any scenario, because that is the nature of the material world. कभी भी 10 on 10 agreement नहीं रहेगा. अगर आप बाहर भी काम करने आते हो, आप एक ही बॉस के साथ 25 साल काम करते हो, तो ऐसा नहीं होगा 25 साल में वो बॉस है, कभी भी आपका डिसएग्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ होगा. फादर के साथ यू आर स्टेइंग फॉर द लास्ट 30 years, देयर मस्ट बी सम डिसएग्रीमेंट विद योर फादर, राइट? हमेशा तो यू डोंट गो इन कंजंक्शन ना, ये सब कुछ, हाँ प्रोजेक्ट फादर ने जो बोला, मैंने जो बोला, एब्सोल्युटली सब मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस एकदम मैच हो रहा है. But do you leave your father? We don't. We don't disown our father. My thoughts don't match with you, so now you don't. I'm not your son anymore. We still we are still with our father. Similarly, spiritual teachers are also our elder, I can say father or a brotherly position, wherein we have may have disagreements, but uh, we sometimes, as I said, agree to disagree also. But that should not hinder our service to the Supreme Lord. अगर आपके सामने है तो आपने पूछ लेना चाहिए. You should ask. That's my experience. That many times I may be thinking about things, and that can go into a think just overthinking, speculation, hypothesis, thinking, just going on and on and on. Better than that, it can always be revealed and spoken. Like we see Vyasdev, he expresses dissatisfaction. He opens up his heart. He he doesn't keep it within himself. He Narada Muni is asking him, he's inquiring, and along with that, he's also opening up himself. He's not keeping it with him. Similarly, uh, I was speaking to someone last week, and I was mentioning that if we really want help, then we should open our heart and speak. That will be really helpful because uh, none of us are Krishna, so we cannot really be within you and understand what is the situation. But yes, once we know it, we can definitely expect help. And as far as my experience again goes, is devotees will always try and uh, advise you what is best for you. And I have been at least fortunate to be around devotees who have been uh, very straightforward in their advice, and maybe that is the way I was wanting it to be. That uh, I don't want to cheat myself in this life, because if I cheat myself in this life, then there is very less hope for me. Like taking up devotional service, being fully engaged, and then again, if I expect in that also some kind of leniency or some kind of loose environment, then there was no point in me taking this up. Better I would have been outside and come here. That would have been still adding to my some spiritual credits rather than being within and being loose or being complacent or being relaxed. That will not add to it. Like Keshav Swami Maharaj says, just because you are in Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that you are Krishna conscious. Just because you are in Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that you are Krishna conscious. Okay. So we have to be very constantly, you know, telling ourselves this again and again, that yes, why am I here? What is the purpose, and what is what is the goal of my life? What is my ultimate goal? Where do I have to go? Like we were reading, because I'm reading 2 3 books now, but yeah, I was reading. It was mentioned that the ultimate goal of life is to go back home, back to God. That is the ultimate goal. And that is what we relate to. Then we should follow in that path. We should not. If our goal in life is to make things better for us materially, or for our family materially and physically, then we better work outside and add on to our spiritual credits on a weekend, do donations, do sevas, come for yatras, chant peacefully, nicely. So we have to identify what is the goal of our life. Like I know a gentleman, he says that, Prabhuji, this life for acting, ये life मैंने मेरे acting करे के रखा है. Next life में कृष्ण. At least he's conscious about that कि हाँ this life for प्रभुजी नहीं हो पाएगा ये life मैंने दे दिया acting career को. Even after knowing the philosophy, so that's be it. That's fine. Everybody cannot go in the same life. So yeah, we should we should try and have some good friends in Krishna consciousness. Friends as well as some mentors who we can open our hearts to speak. I have so many seniors. I don't just uh, I just don't deal and report to only one authority. There's so many people who uh, you can say I report to. I have so many, and they may have contradictory uh, they may have contradictory opinions. It's dynamic. Spiritual life is dynamic. It is not monotonous. It is not like same for all. Copy paste नहीं है. Control V, Control C, Control V नहीं है. So dynamic है. And वो dynamic में there can be absolutely same situation and two different answers also. When you come to that stage, and we will discuss. Till that time, don't bother about it. Oh, आया तो क्या? Okay. Yes, you can have. Okay. We stop here. Thank you so much. Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Ramraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Nitanande Hare Gaur. Hare Krishna.